Let's discuss. Hey everyone, it's Rachel back again with another video, and today I'll be checking out a new track from Brand of Sacrifice called Dynasty. This track and Exodus, which I covered when that came out, are both taken from the just announced EP Between Death and Dreams, which will be out in April of this year. Altogether it will be 4 tracks, so this is the second single taken from that. We still have 2 new ones coming up, so that is exciting. I really liked Exodus. It's been on the rotation a bit. It's not been like my most listened to. Obviously there's been stuff going on with Animate and things like that have remained on rotation, but that track has still stayed getting sprinkled in the rotation pretty much weekly, so I've really been digging it. Excited to check out Dynasty, which I will link the video for in the description, as well as any merch that you can get for the EP. All of their social media, all that stuff will be in the description of this video. They're currently out on tour too, so make sure to give a look to their tour dates, see if they're coming near you. I know they'll be going internationally this year too, so check for some dates. They are incredible live. Other than that, I'm going to stop talking and we are going to get straight into it.
Give me the strength to stand.
Oh.
This course of destruction, separated from the body access.
Little bass in the transition. I like that. Ooh. The progression there is just so catchy. Crowd going crazy. with the choir. Oh. Brand of Sacrifice, Dynasty, let's discuss. When it comes to, you know, what goes into Brand of Sacrifice and what kind of makes up the formula that has worked so well for them, I think when it's tracks like this and Lifeblood that really do it for me, and I think it's got a lot to do with the breakdown. Like if you think of You Are My Lifeblood, and then the way it kind of like smacks you after that. This has like We Are a Dynasty, and then it smacks you in a very similar way. And that Lifeblood breakdown is one of my top breakdowns of the last few years, I think. There are quite a few that I could name, but that one was that one's up there for me. And it's when I think of that album, that's one of the parts immediately that stick out to me. And I've just loved it ever since. Whenever that song comes on, that's the part I'm anticipating and stuff. So this has like that, you know, it doesn't have anything like the Vengeance chorus off of Lifeblood was a huge plus for me, though that's a feature. They have been doing stuff that's a little bit different. They've been including some choruses with singing, you know, stuff that's a little bit outside of what they had been known for prior to that record. I think that they've expanded on a little bit, but this was like the electronic sounds, the heaviness. It has the choir in the breakdown that I'm talking about, and it teases that choir too. I didn't want to say anything and like speak. I try not to speak too much. I'm sure that any of y'all that watch my videos enough know I try not to speak too much during the video, but I heard it used a little bit in the background there, and then I was like, okay, this is gonna have that choir breakdown most likely, because they sprinkled that in. So if you're paying attention, you probably could feel that coming as well, but just not sure at which point in the song, I don't think, because when it first kicked in, I think like that first verse, really, it did sound a little bit like some of the mix and like where, like what was most prominent, like it didn't sound super clear to me, but then it felt like the clarity came with a bit of time for the song to take shape, or whatever you really want to call it. And I love the heaviness that's there even prior to the breakdown that I'm talking about. You still have that like keeping you on your toes for when it comes to counting and things like that. It's not all laid out for you, I wouldn't say, but the details are there for foreshadowing, I guess. So it's not like a very predictable song. I don't think that with what they've put out since, I do think that this is more true to the sound that they had going into Lifeblood and sort of what people associate with them, while keeping like that newer sound that they've sort of evolved with, kind of including that as well, which maybe is like a little bit more heavy on the electronics, but that's been something that's been present for them. So kind of like polishing up what they're wanting to do is what it feels like. And though at first I was like, this could go either way for me, this could be one that doesn't necessarily hit so much, but I think that breakdown really drove for me like the revisits, because as I had mentioned with Lifeblood, with that part, like the You Are My Lifeblood, that being like my most anticipated part, that would drive me to listen to the song, you know, plenty of times. So that's not to say that this won't happen here, because I think this is there for, don't get me wrong either, I loved the Exodus breakdown as much as anyone else did, I think, but for that repeat value, there is just something in this style that I just latch on to. So I think for me, this will probably end up being the better of the two, but that's strictly based on my taste. I think overall maybe Exodus would be the more well-received one, but I often find myself in that situation anyhow. It's usually that way, but let's see what else. Having seen Brand live and knowing that when they perform these songs, Kyle really does, like, at, you know, in a fraction of a second go from either those lows to some, like, the highs that he was delivering on. I think about some of my favorites were like in the 2.5 minute area, I'm pretty sure, but the range on, I don't feel like it's a surprising thing at this point or anything. It's more like if we're expecting Kyle to go in on a track the way that he does, it doesn't mean it's not appreciated either. But knowing that they perform these songs live, and he's able to do that stuff, hearing them put something like this out, knowing they're probably going to run it, they're probably running it on tour right now, since they're out. I was meant to see them last night, but I did not get to go, which is very unfortunate. I was hoping to see them again, but I will in the future. This will be a track I very much look forward to seeing, because I did get to see Lifeblood live, that track, as I had been mentioning. Getting to see that breakdown live was really something else, and I feel like this will be one of those tracks, which I wouldn't have heard it yet if I had went to the show. Obviously, as I'm recording this now, I wouldn't have heard the song and known I was looking forward to it, so I'd still want to see it again, like right after hearing it for the first time. But regardless, I think that having that sort of range, maintaining it, kind of what I was talking about before, like polishing up and honing in on some of those things and incorporating the electronics, that sort of relentless sound without it being overused. This feels like there's more space for, like, not as chaotic, more groove, I guess. Though there are tracks where I feel like they have that, I'm glad that this was one that didn't feel like super relentless, on top of, like, that breakdown being more towards the end that I'm looking for, because I think that space there is something that's more attractive to me when listening. I like something with a let off, like, I love blast beats, stuff like that, but I do enjoy the let off that's provided from that, like the moment where you're like, oh, kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's all about, like, I guess the contrast there and things like that for me. So I very much like this. I think more than Exodus, this will go on the playlist for me, especially the breakdown playlist with that ending one. I'm here for that. So I don't think there's necessarily anything when it comes to the style that I would want done differently, especially as it has, like I mentioned, having the use of the choir a little bit in there, kind of set back and very minimal, so that, if you're paying attention, you hear that coming. That stuff I love. Yeah, and I've sort of went over what I think. So that's pretty much it. You'll find all of Brand of Sacrifice's social media, any merch, the video that I used in the reaction portion of this video. All that will be in the description. You can also find my Linktree, which will have the Patreon. I've just rolled that out this year, and I've been having a lot of fun working on the content. We have the poll up for which day we'll be doing the patron-only live stream for February towards the end of the month. So that's up there, and then all the content offered in the tiers is what I'm working on right now, on top of the channel stuff. Also looking at when our next live stream will be. I've had some personal stuff going on, but I am looking at that, and we'll let you know as soon as I know, which could be even before I get this posted on the channel. But oh well. I almost forgot. The Discord server invite link. That is where the community for my YouTube channel is based. In the Discord, we've got a lot of really wonderful people in there. We've got music-related conversation as well as conversation unrelated to music. Just a bunch of music lovers in the community. So if you're interested in coming to join, check that out. That will be there. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.